Three of the biggest philosophical and theological questions over the millennia are if man created God or did God create man? Did man create God or did God create man? Did man create God or did God create man? Did man create God or did God create man? And did God become man and can man become God? Did God become man and can man become God? And can you personally become God of the cosmic machine we call the universe, if God even exists? Which is a question I will try to answer as you consider that perhaps our universe is a gigantic machine for the making of gods, according to this quote I found on the internet. Consider that in order to become God of the machine we call the universe, you would first have to pass the morality test. And at some point your body and mind would have to be merged with the machine in order to achieve something akin to godlike immortality and omniscience. As a man merged with or uploaded into the cosmic machine as God of this machine. Perhaps when God becomes weary and it is your turn to replace him or her. This means that the universe and God, if God exists, would have to be a gigantic artificially intelligent machine of some kind, otherwise known as a computer in our so-called computer universe, according to this book here by Professor Waheed. Maybe God is an AI computer program that exists inside of a neuromorphic brain-based computer at the so-called core of the universe. In the neurosynaptic core, perhaps, with black holes and their cores falling into place here, with black holes supposedly being computers according to Scientific American magazine, with our universe perhaps existing in a gigantic black hole, which are supposedly computers as just noted, in addition to harboring a soul, according to this book by Mike Hockney, as the soul of God perhaps. The digital soul of the digital God, of the God computer we call the universe. This brings us to the ancient question as to if God became a man. Did God become a man? If this were the case, whereby God did become a man, then this means that God would have to have medically injected or downloaded his or her genes and or consciousness into human ova and or sperm, or something to that effect. And I don't doubt that there would have to be some kind of quantum computing and related technologies involved in this process that might extend to other planets in the universe with intelligent life and souls to save at the hands of some kind of quantum messiah. I think black holes are a part of whatever is going on in the so-called metaphysical realm, as we consider that black holes have quantum aspects to them, in addition to supposedly harboring souls and being computers and so forth, as previously noted. This means that perhaps the soul of God and his Messiah counterpart that some people call Jesus Christ would basically be computer software circulating throughout some kind of quantum computer we call the universe. Consider that perhaps each and every moral and ethical person on earth must take their turns at being God. Also consider that the most ethical people on earth are those who choose to behave ethically and morally despite being atheist and or who have no fear of divine retribution, as opposed to the people who choose to be virtuous and moral just because they are afraid of some kind of divine retribution. With black holes not just being computers and quantum computers, but they are also supposedly time machines, thereby explaining how a god or gods would be able to travel back and forth through time, if God or gods even exist. But if they do, this is how it is done, with the black hole at the beginning of time and the so-called white hole in time falling into place here, the latter of which would likely be the place some people call heaven, as you consider that white holes are black holes in reverse, in addition to being so-called prisons of light as well as computers, thereby rendering them light-based computers perhaps. with the so-called light at the end of the tunnel that people with near-death experiences describe likely being nothing more than a manifestation of light-based computing technology. As you also bear in mind that humans are light-based beings insofar that DNA molecules in our cells produce biophotonic light. Consider that perhaps each and every moral and ethical person on earth must take their turns at being God. In fact, I read a book once that said the universe was so big and so vast and so populated with intelligent life that each and every ethical person had to take their turn at being God when God became weary. Also consider that the most ethical people on earth are those who choose to behave ethically and morally despite being atheist and or who have no fear of divine retribution, as opposed to the people who choose to be virtuous and moral just because they are afraid of some kind of divine retribution. And if you like this video, then share, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can receive notifications whenever I upload a new video.